Hey, it's Cooper here. We're going to do an educational tracking video. So I'm at the location where I shot my deer, and I, you look at how long it took for me to track my deer down. I wanted to do an educational video to show other hunters what you might have to go through in order to find what you're looking for, and how far you technically have to go, and to what detail you might have to do your track and search. So we're going to start out from where I took my shot. I've got most of the ground spots marked, and it's been a couple days, so there's going to be a lot that I've lost as far as color goes, but I still have the directions that I traveled, the terrain that I went through, and how far, and hopefully we'll still find the remnants to have a conclusion. But I'm going to start. Starting out, here's the area, old farm field. Deer came across from that tree line there, down the tree line here, and down and out to the field here. And my shot, the kill shot, was taken at this location. So my initial contact after taking a shot, first thing I did, and I'm saying this for benefit of everybody else who ever has taken a deer, is I took my initial shot and I came and looked for blood from my shot, which I did discover right away. And then I went to my location stand back in that direction, my location stand, and sat down for a half hour. Now I figured in sitting down for a half hour that was going to be enough time to let that animal settle. Now I'm looking for where I marked my initial location. The old tracking process. At the time, I stuck my backpack and a pile of green weeds. I forgot the name of them. Maybe once I find it. Oh, there they are. Okay, so my initial from there to here. Now, like I said, there's probably no longer any blood sign, but this is where I had marked my location, because this weed here was over in the tree line, and it doesn't usually grow in the farmer's crop field, so it was easy once again for me to identify at a distance where it was at. So I had, yep, there's still a little sign of color right there if you look at that leaf. So I still have a little bit of color, not much, but that's gone because we've had some rain nights and whatever. So then I took and followed across hopefully we can pick and see some color across here that still might exist. Oh, there's still a little color. If you look at that, that's still a little color. There's some there. There's some there. So there's still color. It's harder to come by and see, but there's still some color on the ground from the track several days ago. But that's the type of thing that you have to look for. And then when we came through, it was marked again. So that's when I had help come out, Maya marked off where she found color when she was coming in behind me. So there's a trail marker there, and like I said, I appreciate the help that they came out. And I'm going through now showing an individual what it's like in order to, how far you have to go. Yep, there's still color. There's still color on this. It's brown now, but that's still color. That's color. That's tracking color. That's tracking color. That's tracking color. So I'm also showing after you have time go by what your color dries down to and what it looks like. You know, that's color, that's color. So if you look at, she did a wonderful job. I haven't walked through here since that night, but she marked it off. There's color. She marked off where she found, but I had already passed this point when she came through, but she did a fabulous job. She's really there. There's color. That's color. And what you're looking for is there's color there, there. So you're following the color to where you're going to find the deer that lay down. And sometimes, you know, there will be a lot of individuals that are good enough to see where the dirt and ground has been worked up. You know, and if you look at the color that we were tracking there, you know, it's good. I mean, there's so much color there that it's now faded, and you can still see that there's tons of it. You know, people ask me, where did I learn to track? Well, I've tracked for a lot of years. I wish I could have had some native training, but so this was the first avenue of the first line where this is where I thought he originally, there's color, originally was going to be found laying down, and there's color, there's color. Now there's a difference between, I point it this direction, this is not color, this is just the color of the leaves, but right there is color. Okay, so knowing the difference between the two is a skill where you have to have opportunity to see the difference. Like this leaf here still has some staining to it. This leaf here, that's color, that's not, but that's dry, but that's color. Okay, so you're going through. When I went into the swamp, I had stepped in here, and as soon as I made this step to this point in the swamp, he bolted out on that back side. Now after a half hour, I thought I had allowed him to lay down for plenty of time, but nope. So he came across the swamp, and I do believe that when he came across, he came, turned, I missed a section. Yep, so he came through. He didn't come out in the swamp there yet. He went through here. There we go. There's color. Yeah, so there's still some staining that you can see on the ground here and there. And it's amazing to me that that sucker followed trails this whole time. So as I said, he bolted out the back end. Let's see if you can see this in this swamp grass. Oh, there's color, there's color, there's color. Color. There's color. See that still? That's from several days ago still. So if you look at how much color that I'm seeing, this is why I knew there's color. This deer, I kept saying to myself, how could he keep traveling? Because as much color as I'm seeing on the ground and on the leaves and weeds going through here. Man, Maya, you did a good job. So, make a long story short, Maya and Sandra came in to help me, and Maya didn't know where I was at, and so she came in following blood, marking color. She came in marking as if I had not been through this area yet. So the stuff that you see that is taped off is a wonderful job by an individual who's a bow hunter, who understands tracking and marking. You know, I left my stand in area. So if you look at, so here's where he laid down and he jumped up from. You see the color here, that whole section there has got plenty of color in it. And you look at it on the leaves, that's what you're looking for. This right here is what you're looking for. That's color. But the day of, it's much brighter. So training your eye to see what you need to see is part of the reason why I'm doing this video, because this is after the fact. There's one right there. See that? That's color on that one. It's not a change in leaf color. That's blood. So that's one of those things that you have to train your eye to look for, because it's not easy. And all too often, guys give up on the track. Like through here, right now, because of the dew and rain and whatnot, I'm probably not going to see as much as there was that day. But we'll continue on with this track during the daylight, so I can show you how far this deer traveled and what the color changed to look like over time. I want to get to the other side where the pine trees were. Went through here. She did a good job, because by the time I got through here, I had gone through and I had checked all these spots. I was working on my knees in some places. I'm going to get to that spot down here a little ways. You can see any color in that. No, not anymore, not much. No, that's kind of fresh. That's been freshly worked. So you look at here, this is a scrape that he was coming by to visit. At the time when I was going through this, I know kind of where I'm going now, because I've already tracked it. There's color, but I had to go leaf by leaf by leaf in order to find my sign. So this is how far this deer traveled. I stood here for a while and I was looking around and I had to search and search, and I finally saw some here. I mean, I was seeing every couple of feet, and then it would be little dots to little to nothing. And then Yeah, it's one of those telling yourself, don't give up. You're seeing way too much blood. Don't give up. You're seeing way too much blood. So, man, Maya, you did a good job in tracking. Because I literally, well, as the sun went down, it was easy. Well, there's a time period just like it is right now where it became really difficult to see because of the light difference in how the overall lighting helped mask what you're doing. And there's still a ton of deer action going through here. There's color right there. There's color right there. Okay. Then I got to here. See, and there's color in that, in the stool there. Then I got to here. That was unique right there. I look at that. It's been covered by a blown leaf, but look at that. So like a blood clot came out. And then I kind of lost it in the road a little bit. And I got to here. There was dust tracks that I followed here. Then I found a blood clot. It seemed has been gone now, but it was right in here that I found a blood clot that sent me this direction. So I went this direction and kind of circled, found a spot in here that led me, there's right there, that led me to go this direction. And then when I got to here, this is when my trailing became extremely difficult. Because if you look at tracking through pine, and hopefully I can find the color that I have it marked by sticks, so we'll be able to tell where I went. Maya came in behind me on this one, so she didn't tag it off. But so this was my original stick crossing of where I found my initial blood, right here. So that was my initial stick crossing, and then I searched around, and then I found blood here. So if you look at how I X'd it off, let me see. I had blood here. Oh, there it is. You see it right there? That coloring right there? That's what I was looking for. So I had to go from here. Some deer had moved the sticks there. Or squirrels. Here. I don't know if I can see it in the pine here. So what I was ending up doing is I was getting down on my hands and knees and checking, because if you look at the pattern where my stick crosses are, it was approximately 2 feet. So every 2 feet I would scan ahead to look for that blood. So I found blood here. There it is right there. And then I crossed here, I crossed there, X there, X there, X there, X there, X there, X there. Now the reason why I used X's is because tree limbs don't fall like this. X there, X there, X there. Now you notice as you look back, it's easy to follow my path because I had laid X's on the ground, and then work this way, X, X here. See if I can pick up the old blood by looking here. Oh, there it is. So my stick goes the direct, there it is. My stick goes the direction that I was traveling. And then I got to here. And we were tracking here. So in here, it became more prevalent and obvious that it was easier to see and track going this way. You know, every single time that we walk through, we were taking steps, we were figuring, heck, we'd have to see the sucker laying 5 feet in front of us with all the blood that we saw prior to this point. So we went through here. We're like, holy cow, how in the heck is this sucker still traveling? So what was being done is Sander would find a spot of blood, or I would find a spot of blood, and then the next person would go forward, looking in the range or distance, shining the flashlight ahead of yourself, and in doing so, finding the blood spot. And you look at, we went here, he came through here, he jumped this fence, and we're like, what the heck? He still had the ability to jump the fence? It was amazing how tough these guys are. So went through tracking, got into this. Literally, when we got into this, the light and the time of day were extremely good, so it made it extremely much easier to follow. So we had here, this was X section here, we were leapfrogging, looking for blood and color. So I've been walking for 22 minutes, and because I'm walking the track where I already previously have it marked, it's interesting because I'm already going to where I know it's at. We get to the edge of this road. There's a deer over there, just watching what I'm doing, watching where I'm going. Yeah, right now the gun season is closed. Muzzleloader is closed. So we got through these. You can see where we broke a little trail going through, following him. When we got to the edge of this road here, we had a truly hard time. That's when we started doing a loop circle search, because there was less blood to follow. So We're working in and out. Came across a little ridge there. I just walked around the thick stuff just because. Somebody's sighting in their gun. And you have here, we came through. We got to here. It was tough look. Little to no blood at this time. There's a little color there. A little color still there. So this is a straight walk into, now we got to here, and there wasn't much for original sign. It was kind of a, oh, look at that. Well, took a break to be watched by an owl. So if there's wonder if there's any of the gut piles still left. Because now, oh, there it is. So we had trailed to here. Little blood, little blood, little blood. This is where he laid down at. That's where we drug him to gut him at. So you look at overall how far we had to travel and track in order for me to find this deer in the different terrains that we were in order to find it. So I make this video just to tell people, you know, what to look for, what the different signs of blood look like, and I'm using old blood now just so that you can see the difference, like that right there. In that leaf, you can see the blood right there. You know, what to, like right there. That's blood. What to look for in order to find your animal, and how you have to go through, you know, I walked the whole thing from start to finish on where to find my deer, and that's the remnants of it. You can see it's been eaten on by coyotes or something. But overall, a 30-minute straight walk when you're walking straight going to the destination that you know where you're going, but it was a 4-hour, 5-hour plus search with the help of Sandra and Maya. Otherwise I'd probably still be walking searching. But I say all that to be said is hopefully that video gives you a little bit of idea on where to go and how to look, the signs of things to look for as you're walking through the woods. I actually keep watching this owl because it's pretty cool. You know, the things to look for, the differences between the grass and the pines, and the grass and the leaves, and the grass and the swamp grass, and just the different colors to look for. Now that's dry color that we went through and looked at, but that should help you on, because as your day goes longer, as you're looking throughout the end of the day, if you shoot it early in the morning or whatever, it'll give you the ability on some of the differences to look at. Also, try to invest in getting one near a green light, because it does help make it glow. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe once again. This is Cooper Big D's Dog Training, out there showing you how to field track a down animal. We'll catch you guys next time.